This is my no BS guide to being productive in life. Let's be real, productivity is something that is related to achieving anything in life. If you want a better body, if you want higher grades, if you want to make more money, if you want to attract a significant other, like someone you actually want, then you will have to be productive in a way that attracts them. So productivity is something that is really important. And I struggle with a lot. I was one of those person that would wake up at 10 a.m. tired, groggy, and I was working from home. So it's like I would just show up to the meeting, after that doze off or like not feel like doing anything. My brain would be so dead and fatigued, and I just hated it. I didn't want to be in that feeling. Like I wanted to outcompete my competition, but even though I wanted it, I couldn't, because I felt like I couldn't do it because my body was yearning for something more comfortable. And that's probably tied with more things mentally, like mental health and all those things, and doing something that you actually want, but that's a separate topic we'll discuss in the future. So in this video, we're just going to talk about how to actually be productive. So without further ado, here it is. Number one, intermittent fasting. I would say that's probably one of the biggest game changers. In the sense that your brain is much more sharper in the morning, and if you eat any kind of sugar or carbs or anything like that, your body prioritizes digestion, and you don't want that. You want your brain to be in peak performance, and intermittent fasting is probably one of the biggest things that achieves that. And I didn't know about this, so I've learned this through Hamza's productivity course. Hamza is a YouTuber where you could see that he has a paid school community, Adana School over there. When I took the course, I realized how important intermittent fasting is, and that kind of led me into feeling more in control of my mornings. Like I'm not feeling like I don't want to do anything, like I want to achieve things. So I would say intermittent fasting is probably one of the biggest game changers out there. Number two, eat the frog first thing in the morning. That basically means prioritize the hardest task. You don't want to be checking your phone, doing something small, like just trying to get cheap dopamine here and there. You just want to go straight to work, right? It's because you're basically training yourself to go straight into work mode, and like your brain is fresh. So let's say it has 100 brain points in this case. If you check your phone, all of a sudden you lose like 20 brain points, and now you're back to 80. And now you eat something or you go do something else, all of a sudden you're doing some kind of task that is giving you cheap dopamine. Like you're going on Instagram, all of a sudden you're looking at a girl, like X, Y, and Z. Like you want to make sure your brain is sharp, and you want to make sure that you do the hardest task first. So you don't want to be checking your phone or doing anything like that. There's time for checking your phone, or there's time for doing other things, but you want to be doing that afterwards and not at the start of the morning. You want to be eating the frog. So doing the hardest task, the priority task, the deep work task first thing in the morning. Number three, good sleep. Now, this is something I struggle with. I still struggle with. I would say the main reason I struggle with is probably because I'm watching shows or content at night, and it's really hard to not stop watching, because these episodes are very addicting. Like right now, I'm watching a show called Modern Family, and I would say I don't even know why I'm watching it, but it's just comedy. Like it was 20 minutes. I thought, why not, while I'm eating? But then it turned into a habit, and I realized that I can't really be doing that. So for good sleep, honestly, you just have to shut off your phone. What I do is I pray at the end of the day. So I pray Isha, and then right now I have a book right beside my bed. I use that, and I would say it's just about going to bed and replacing your phone with something else that you can do. So that would actually tie to good sleep. Another point would be for sleep, aim for 8 hours. Like that's just about a 7 to 8 hours. I would say the higher the better. I tried myself where I was like, negotiating with myself. Like whenever you negotiate, trying to see, okay, we're watching a show or something, and like we have 7 hours left. Like you see the clock and you think to yourself, your wake up time is still 7 hours. Okay, it's fine, no worries. You don't want to be that. Like I am like that, and I'm trying to stay away from that because I realized that it doesn't work. So prioritize sleeping. Number four is having a task list and knowing what you want to do. So having that timetable, setting like a deadline about it, and like just going through the motions and actually doing the task that you need to do. Without that, you're just gonna be lost. And I use an app called Kanban Flow. I'll link it in the description. It's basically one of those where you can actually just put what are the tasks that you have and just let them out of your brain, so that somewhere it's being tracked, if that makes sense, and you can just read revisit it. And also there's a timer, like, you know, like some kind of Pomodoro technique or anything like that, so that you could see how much time is going by and you can actually prioritize doing certain things within a certain allocated time, if that makes sense. So I would say having a timetable, having a schedule, having a routine, and knowing what to do, it's probably one of the most important things to be productive. And lastly, I'm just gonna batch 3 points together. This is from the 4-hour work week. I would say one of them is the 80-20 rule, which basically means 20% of your tasks that you do probably get you 80% of the results. You want to prioritize those 20%. So that's the 80-20 rule. The second point in this case from the 4-hour work week would be Parkinson's law, which basically means that work expands to fill the time that you give it. And essentially, if you have an essay that you need to write and it's a month away, it's deadline, you'll probably take the entire month to actually write that essay, meaning you probably would procrastinate and do it at the end. But if you have an essay where you need to type it within, I guess, like the deadline's tomorrow, you'll find a way to write it within the deadline, submit it tomorrow. So I would say have some sort of deadline in mind for every day or anything that you're doing, if that makes sense. Final bit from the 4-hour work week would be batching. In this case, if you have similar tasks that you're doing, you want to batch them together and do more of them. So it's like you're not revisiting them or you're not task switching while doing something else more important, if that makes sense. So in the morning, you want to do your deep work task, and then afternoons, when you're actually a bit more tired, you could do more mellow or easygoing task, if that makes sense. I think that's about it. So basically the main points are intermittent fasting, eating the frog first thing in the morning, having a good sleep, having a consistent time schedule. And from Tim Ferriss's book, the 3 things are 80-20 rule, Parkinson's law, and task batching. Cheers.